But this, as many of you know, this is part of a new series that we're doing where we're meeting women from Israel from all different walks of life. And we're purposefully, although all of these women come to us with amazing bios and amazing backgrounds, really, really wonderful stories, we're taking a step away from the limelight and just want to get to know people to people, sort of what their daily life is like, how they live, and how that, you know, intersects with their work and with their family, if they have family, etc. So I hope you guys will be open to ask questions. And I think Karine usually says, you know, this is, we started the series thinking about a show in Israel called Don't Ask That. So things that you're afraid to ask, you're okay to ask, you can ask. So we'll open the chat eventually, sort of 15 minutes towards the end for an open conversation. But if you have questions that come up during the conversation, go ahead and put them in the chat. You can send it to me or you can send it to Karine, and we will try to ask them at the right moment. So it's wonderful to see everyone. I'm going to pass it over to Karine Lagziel, who will facilitate the conversation today with our wonderful guest, Esti Shushan. And we're so grateful, Esti, that you could come today after a very busy day that you might tell us about. So with that, Karine, go ahead.
So it's so nice to see so many familiar faces and some new faces as well. If you haven't yet experienced this, it's a treat for you. So this intimate conversation is really one of our favorite programs to come together. And it really does feel like community. I have to say this because really seeing so many of you for the second and third time is really a pleasure. So if we haven't yet met, I'm Karine Lagziel, and I'm the Israel emissary for the Upper East Side. And I'm excited to share this opportunity with you and Esti this morning. So we'll start. I'll present Esti's bio, and then we'll go into some questions, and from there we'll open for Q&A. So before I present you, Esti, I just wanted to say Boker Tov and thank you for joining us. And now and you can wave to our audience while I present you. Esti Esti Shoshan is the founder and acting director of Nivcharot, an ultra-Orthodox Haredi woman for voice and equality. A long-time social activist, Esti has worked in films, advertising, and the media. Esti founded Meoravot, Engaged, a forum that encouraged conversation and activism among Haredi women. In 2012, she launched the social media-based protest movement, No Voice, No Vote, calling on Haredi women to vote only for parties that include women in their ranks. Her short film, Akara, Barren, released in 2014 and screened globally, focused on how ultra-Orthodox society pressures women to bear children. In 2015, Esti founded Nivcharot, promoting the voice and equal representation of Haredi women in politics and public life. Esti is sought after speaker and lecturer widely on issues pertaining to the Haredi women in society and media and cinema. In 2015, she told the story of Nivcharot in a TED Talk in Jerusalem. Esti grew up in Tzfat. She is the first of 11 children in the Haredi family. She studied at the Bet Yaakov Seminary in Bnei Brak, and she is the mother of 4 children. Esti is the recipient of the 2017 Ya'ari Award and the 2019 Rappaport Award for her breakthrough work promoting women. Nivcharot is a recipient of the 2019 Dror Prize for its Share Protest campaign. So Esti, welcome to our community. We're excited to host you here today. And I would love for you to tell in your own voice a little bit about yourself. We kind of talked about your activism, but whatever you want to share with us to kind of get us started today.
Okay. Thank you, Karine. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to know you and to know your community. And good morning for all the people that comes in this hour, in this time in the morning. Kol hakavod. So my name is Esti Shushan. I'm Haredi Orthodox woman. As Karine said, I'm a mother of 4, and unfortunately, I'm a feminist. And to be a declared feminist in the world, you know, it's not so easy. So just try to imagine how it's to be a feminist in a traditional community. I live in Rosh Ha'ain. It's a small town in the center of Israel. I have nothing very special to tell you about this place, instead of the fact that it's pretty close to Tel Aviv, and it's depend on the traffic time. I belong to a community. It's actually a new community that all of its people lived especially together, especially in the social media. People used to call us the new Haredim or the Israeli Haredim. Haredim, it's like the ultra-Orthodox, that's the Hebrew name of the ultra-Orthodox people. All of us was born and educated and raised in the mainstream Haredi, even strict communities. Most of us understand that if the Haredi community wants to keep exist, some changes must happen. We have some argues about what is the right place to do that, but it's a community with a lot of activists, women and men. Most of the activists in this community are women. That's the interesting thing. Just one anecdote about me before I give Corinne and Lauren the opportunity to ask me the questions. Corinne said that I'm the eldest child of a family of 12 children. My parents actually waited about 5 years to have a child. They tried all the prayers, all the treatments, all the blessings, but they didn't understand that I, the eldest child, didn't want to be born to a teenager mom. So I waited until my mother will be 22 years old and I came to the world. And after me, 11 brothers and sisters that I love very much. I have 4 children and I got married when I was 19. Now I am divorced in the last year. Now I'm sitting in Tel Aviv in a production office. I am after a very busy day of shooting. And maybe we will talk about the shooting after that. What is the... So,
of course.
You can...
So Esti, as you're saying, and now we know, you're a born activist. Even before you were born, you made kind of the decisions.
I didn't think about that.
A born activist. So, and I want to ask you, you were born and raised in the mainstream Haredi community. How did your journey bring you to be an activist, to be involved in politics? What happened there in the way that brought you to that?
So I think I made a very normal life as a Haredi woman. I was educated in Bet Yaakov, and I got married when I was 19, and everything seems to be okay with me until some changes happened. I think that the changes happened in my personal life, but also in the Haredi community and in the world, a lot of changes that happened that shaped me, my mind and the mind of my friends and my community friends. I lived in a small town about 20 years ago. I lived in a small town in the Galilee. And this town suffered from unemployment. But anyway, it was impossible to find a job without professional or academic education. You know, in Bet Yaakov, we didn't get, we got the core education, but not professional or academic education. So at first I worked as a kindergarten assistant, and after that I studied graphic design, and I became a graphic designer in a small town paper. And this paper suffered from too much empty pages and not much content. So I have to think big, and I started to write to this paper. And slowly and surely I understand that I am a woman, but I have voice, I have an opinion. And after that, I became a publicist in a big Haredi newspaper. But in that paper, the editor told me plainly that if I wanted to be taken seriously, I have to hide the fact that I'm a woman. I wrote an opinion articles, an opinion columns, and in this paper, in this place in the paper, wrote a lot of people with me. Some years after that, I understood that most of them were women, and we just was under a male.
Wow.
And it was funny to recognize each other. Oh, you also, Menachem and Yossi and Avi and all of those men were women, and they wrote the opinion of this Haredi newspaper. I think it was one of the significant steps in my feminist תפיסה, approach. I think this one, when I wrote long time under name that it's not me, that the fact that I had to hide my identity, my gender identity, it's something that affected my next steps.
So you really started this conversation with saying, unfortunately, I'm a feminist.
Yes.
So if you could share a little bit about that, what does being a feminist mean to you, and why, unfortunately?
To be a feminist is not, there are a lot of powerful women around me. But to be a feminist is to understand that not all the women around you got the same opportunities. And if you are an activist, a feminist activist, you have to break the ceiling of and the blocks of all the women, not only you. Because when you block, when you break the chasamim, when you break the blocks,
for lack of a better word,
blocks in your life, it's not to be a feminist, it's to be a powerful woman, and it's good. But when you are feminist, you understand the problem, you understand the core problem of women in the world, and you want to make changes in that. So that's for me to be a feminist. Why? It's unfortunately because people don't really like feminist women. Always they think they are aggressive, they are bad women. That's what people, especially in traditional communities, think about a feminist. They can say to me, you are not real Haredi, you are not, in Hebrew there are a lot of words to describe my problem, even to say that I'm crazy, that I suffered from some psychiatric diseases, all the thing. Even they say that I'm reformed. I don't know what it means to you, but everything, I heard everything. So it's not easy to be a feminist, but something that make me happy, that after I started my movement, a lot of women, and all the time it's get growing and growing, that a lot of Haredi women identify themselves as Haredi feminist, or the feminist Haredi. And it's something that make me more calm, because it's not easy to live with this conflict. But I know it's a conflict, and I live with that, and I chose to live with that. And it's good. Not all the issues in my life is perfect. And this what make my life more interesting, I think.
So you touched on, kind of how you define yourself religiously and how does maybe others define you. And maybe we'll have a later opportunity to hear from our audience what does being Reform means to them. But I want to ask you about your own connection to religion. So you said to us that you define yourself as Haredi, but what does that mean to you? What practices do you keep in your life?
Practices, religious practices. So I think that the main thing is my clothes, and when I look like my wig. I think maybe you don't recognize that it's a wig, but it's a wig, I swear. And this is the skirt and the sleeves and all the package. When people see you in the street, they know, okay, this is Haredi. Maybe a little bit modern Haredi, but still belong to the Haredi community. And I separate between to be Haredi and to be religious, because to be Haredi, it's kind of a social definition. And to be religious, you can be Reform, you can be conservative, you can be even not Jewish, to be religious in your life, to live spiritual life. That's how I see religious. But for me, to practice religious, it's especially the Shabbat and the time that we are disconnected from the media, and to sit with my children and to talk and to sing all these ancient songs together. And I like it very much to feel the connection between me and the older generations. And we all connected with this world, with this ancient world. And to be a religious, Jewish religious, it's everything in your life. Most of the things I even don't think about that, because I do it like in my routine. But I think the main thing is my visuality and and the Shabbat, that we are connected from the world and another colleagues and another people. We are in our home. And I think that's what made us different from people. I have to say that if you meet me 2 decades before, I was disconnected all the week from the media. In the Haredi community, the media, it's like an issue. Not to be connected to the internet, not to have a smartphone. And I was there in these places until my brother told me, there are, I know that there is an internet, I have an internet in my work. And I remember my brother told me, there is a website with nothing, just a box. You can search in this box whatever you want, and you can get to everything in the world. And that was the first time I met Google, and the other thing is history.
So I actually, different conversation are different. Sometimes our format is a little bit longer, but I'm already seeing that our participants have so many questions. And so I want to open the chat, and I want to allow you to ask in your own voice. So if you ask the question and you would like to open your microphone, you can do so now. And if you won't ask your questions, I'll later look at the chat and I'll continue some of our questions. So if you want to
just speak slow, because my English, as you see,
and I'll repeat if necessary, I'll repeat as well,
okay.
Of course. But you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask your questions in your own voice.
Esti, when you wrote under a man's name, were the opinions you expressed and the ideas you expressed yours, or did you have to change them to sound more like a man?
It's my opinions were like the Haredi mainstream opinions in that time. In sometimes I feel that I have to be more kind to the mainstream to give them the right opinion, but the gender issue is like to play with the language, with the Hebrew language. It's very gender language, so to write in some place in the words that people can think that I have no gender. In Hebrew, you can do that. In some, I don't know if you know Hebrew, but if somebody of you know, instead of telling Ani Choshevet or Ani Choshev, Choshvani, it's something no gender, word with no gender. And that's the way I played, that people didn't really know if I am a man or woman.
Okay.
But I know that there are a lot of Haredi women that wrote under male name and in a male language. I didn't want to agree with that, so I played with that.
Thank you, Helen, for your question.
How do your sisters and brothers, what kind of a relationship do you have with the rest of your family now?
With my parents, it was hard at first because my father is a rabbi. You know, I came from a very, very Haredi family. My family is Mizrahi family, so we are not from the strict Hasidic communities, but still our family was very, very Haredi, and my father until now have no smartphone, no internet, not even computer. And he write all the time a lot of books, halacha, Jewish law books. And I always tell him, Father, just give, I will buy you a computer. It will be easy for you. No computer, no internet, leave me alone. So with my father and mother, it was hard at first because they didn't really understand what I'm doing in my activities. My father was very afraid. He told me, somebody will burn your car, I don't know. He really was afraid about me and he really don't understand why to be a feminist. What's wrong with you? Everything is okay. Or today, he don't used to tell this. He tell me, you cannot really change the world. But I feel that more and more when I keep going in this way and he really understand that it's serious. I'm not playing. It's really an important thing in my life. He is more and more respected. And now, before any activity that I'm doing, make a call to my father and he give me a blessing. He tell me, I don't know what you are doing, but I bless you, that God will help you in what you are doing. And for me, it's enough. My mother became a feminist. So when you see my mother, very, very Haredi, very strict Haredi, but in her mind, she is feminist and she is not shy to say that.
So sometimes it comes from the top down, and sometimes it comes from the bottom up, right?
I always blame her, and I tell her, you were a very powerful woman. You cannot accept that I will be a woman without opinion. And when I blame her, she understood, and that's why she became at least feminist.
We have a question from Diane about the core education. If you can expand a little bit of what education you receive. I know you touched a bit about it, but what's usually maybe in the Orthodox community, and how were you able to kind of like be in life without the core education?
Okay. In the Haredi community, there are big difference between boys and girls. boys can learn only the Jewish subjects. They learn Torah, Gemara, the Talmud. All their studies is only around the Torah studies. They can learn, איך אומרים בית ספר יסודי?
Elementary.
In elementary school, they can learn a little mathematics, no English, a little Hebrew, a little history, but it's not core education. They don't really get tools to these studies. But in the girls' schools, we got all the professions, all the subjects. We learned mathematics and English and history. And
We have a comment in the chat that your English is amazing.
Oh, thank you, because my English is something that always bothered me. But we studied everything. The boys after Kita Chet, how do you say Kita Chet?
In the, I think like
Okay.
about maybe 10th grade.
When they made bar mitzvah, they moved to the yeshiva ktana, like the small yeshiva. And in this yeshiva, they study only Torah, only Talmud. So they don't make the test, bagruyot, how do you say? They don't they don't have nothing, okay? Yeshiva boy, after he finished the yeshiva and get married, he have nothing. He can be genius in the Torah, in the Talmud, but if he want to come to the work, to do something, he have to started from zero level. Haredi women, it's different. We got in most of the schools, the Haredi girls' schools, we got all the things that we need. That's why you can see that the state, Israeli states, trying always to promote men to work, because women, Haredi women, are working all the time. Haredi women always
usually supports their husband that are studying the Torah.
A main part from the Haredi ideology that the men have to study Torah even after marriage, and when they get married, the women support their studying and work. So if they want to work, they have to study and go to the academy. And you can see very powerful women in the Haredi community. And they more educated, more engaged with the Israeli society, have a lot of tools to get engaged in when you compare it to the men. But still in the public life, in the public Haredi life, the men are the Haredi men are control the society and not the women.
So Esti,
That's the weird thing with the Haredi women.
The weird balance or lack of balance there. So and really to go about that, we have a question in the chat from Julie about what does it, in one side the Haredi community allowed you to study this core education and put you where you are in a way, and in the other side we know that there's a lot of resistance to change. So how does the Haredi community relate to you right now? Yeah, and how does it, I think that's
I will tell
our first question.
I will tell you a story about today. One of the shooting that we made today is part of a campaign that a new party, there is election in Israel again.
The fourth elections are coming up on 23rd of March.
Yeah, we are in a loop of elections, and there is a new party of Israeli, as I told you, the Israeli Haredi community. There are a new party, that the second seat in this party is a Haredi woman from Nivcharot, from our organization. She was, she's really working with me. We are working together. Her name is Hila Hassan Lefkovich. She is the second seat. And the third seat is one of our main opposers to our activities. His name, Rav Dov Albertal.
In the same party, and he's in the same party.
In the same party. And
wow.
You can see him working with Hila, and it's funny, it's exciting, it's everything. I asked him, what happened, Dov? What happened to you? Where is Dov? Where is the Dov that we know from the media that he was against us? I had some debates with him, and we sat together just an hour before. And he told me, I saw the leaders, the political leaders in the Corona crisis, and I understood that they have nothing to help, to give to the community. And I understood after the Corona crisis that it's the time for women. And even I was one of your opposers and I was against you. I understood that something changed, and it was like, I feel that we made something, you know.
So your dad might be wrong. Maybe you can change the world. Maybe there's small movements that make a difference.
I told him why God need to work so hard to give a pandemic, an universal pandemic, to change your mind. But you know, maybe sometimes God needs to get involved in what happened.
Serious ways. So yeah. Judy, we saw that you raised your hand, and please feel free to unmute and ask your question in your voice.
Thank you for calling on me, and good morning, and really appreciate and listening to both of you. Esti, tell me if you would be so kind and want to share about what led to your divorce. Obviously in the Haredi community, very, very difficult. You have 4 children. How old are they? And what has been the reaction, and how long have you been divorced? So if you feel comfortable sharing with us.
Okay. I was married about 23 years.
You look so young.
When you get married at 19, you have time to be married. I got divorced in the last year. I have 4 children. The youngest is 17. They are big, and the eldest is 23. So they are big enough to handle this, to understand. Me and my ex-husband made it by agreement with respect to each other. I think that my activities, it's not only my activities, but we together, what we were when we young. I was 19, he was 22. We were different people, and now something very, a lot of things changes. So we understood that we have to separate our family. It's not bad as I think it was. So I don't know, maybe it's the Corona time, because I got divorced in the Corona time. The Corona time, people are in their issues, in their home, trying to survive the time. But for me, it's not, for my family, it was hard. For my father, until now it's hard, but I think that maybe it's the time, I don't know. I feel comfortable with that, and also the community. I don't feel that somebody have an issue with it. Maybe they say, okay, this crazy woman, now she divorced. So they are not, I don't know, but for me, it's a good place to be now. And also for my children.
Did the process take a long time?
No, it took about 2 months.
Really?
And we got the get, and I was surprised also from the Beit Din Dayanim in the Beit Din.
Rabbanut.
They had
Rabbi.
a lot of respect, a lot of concern to me. They asked me if I need help. It was good experience.
That's good to hear because we don't hear about that here in the States, that it's
Right.
for women. So I'm happy to hear that.
I think when you have agreement between the couple, between the man and the woman, when you have an agreement and you understood that you don't want to destroy the life of your children, and you come to the Beit Din with this agreement, without lawyers, without all this noise, you can do this this process easily. I think that's what's important. And always I tell people, because now people under pressure in their home, and a lot of people want to divorce. It's not something that happened only to me. I see a lot of another families that feel that the corona pushed them to their limits. So I tell them, if you want to do that, if you need to do that, do it with agreement, with respect to the parents, the other parents of your child. And I think when you do that like this, it's not so traumatic.
Thank you for going into this depth
Thank
and
you.
sharing with us your personal life and story. And I want to say that, you know, Judith mentioned that it's not what we usually hear here in the US, but I want to tell you as an Israeli as well that, you know, and this is a part of the idea of why we wanted to do this series, is just like to really understand each other. We need to talk to each other, and many people might assume that what we see either in the media or in Shtisel is what happens in life. So just getting to know different women with different stories so is really meaningful, and thank you for this opportunity. There's so many questions in the chat. We won't get to all of them. I'll ask a couple more, and we know that we need to do a follow-up. There's a lot of interest. So I want to ask you a little bit about your identity as a Mizrahi woman, and how was that received both in the Haredi community and the general community, if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, in Israel, the Mizrahi, I don't know how in the US, I think it's better, but well, the Mizrahi Ashkenazi issue, it's like big issue. It's something that still exists, especially in the Haredi communities. So me to be a Mizrahi, I think it's something that also shaped my identity and my mind and my ideology as a feminist, because when you are a Mizrahi girl and you are always in Ashkenazi institutions, Ashkenazi schools, and you feel always the other, you are not real part from the community. It's make me to think about another people, about social issues, about what make me different, and how can I change it? Because before I became a feminist, I was a Mizrahi activist with Mizrahi understanding that I'm not in the right place, that I am in another place, but it's not the right place. That it's a place that I always need to be more good than others. And for me, it's I think it's one of the issues that shaped me as an activist, as a feminist, as a woman that will be justice around her. I just want justice.
Just being defined from the start as being the other already put you in that place, so pushed you forward. So I want to do a little experiment with you all, because Esti mentioned in the beginning that it's at some point she was called Reform by her own community, kind of trying to tell her that she's different, she's not a Haredi woman. So I want to ask you if you want to share and write in the chat, what does being Reform mean to you, so we can kind of do this conversation from both sides. And while you do that, I'll prepare you that we only have a few minutes left. And the last question that I kind of want to ask you, even though we have so many more, is what do you want, what kind of message you want this community kind of to leave this conversation with? If you have kind of like a final message that you want to get. And I do want to encourage you to write, all of you in the meantime, to write in the chat what does being reform means to you, so we can also send Esti with some of our thoughts and our identity. And I already will tell you that in a follow-up to this conversation, we'll send an article that Esti was a part in writing about the Orthodox community specifically in this time, and some of the questions that are raising in her mind about kind of the balance between being alive, living through Corona, and not wanting to be passing this disease, and the pressure to still being a part of the Torah life, being a part of the funerals that we see in the TV. That an article that just came out today in the Times, in the New York Times. So Esti, to you to kind of conclude our conversation, to final messages to our community.
So you want me to tell something about what is to be a reform that people?
No. That's for the community.
It's another issue.
I don't know.
I think I just want in one in short sentence. I think that also the Haredi community is a reform community, because there are a lot of new things that comes up in the Haredi community. It's depend on your point of view what is to be reformed, but it's another issue. A message to you is when people, secular people or not Haredi or not Jewish people, talking about the Haredi society, they see in their eyes a big black mass of people. And I want you to remember that there is no Haredi society, there is no Haredi community. There are many Haredi communities, and they are very different from each other. And maybe the machlokot, the disagreement between them is more significant between the disagreement between the Orthodox and Reform or conservative, because they have disagreement, and it's, you know, in the day life, it's always, and remember it, we are not the same. Even you can see people, they clothes are the same, their mind are different. And this is my message to you. And it was feel very privileged to meet you. And thank you for the opportunity to know you and to speak with you. And thank you, Karine, and Rabbah Sarah,
okay,
and Loren, and have a good snowing morning.
But before we conclude, I want to read a few of what our people wrote back in the chat of what does it mean to be reformed from them, and then we'll kind of conclude.
I would be happy to get all of these comments, send me.
For sure, but for sure we'll do that. But I will say a few words that our audience felt comfortable to share with us today. So it's kind of like we get to know each other. So for Liz, it means questioning, involving, and warmth. For Arden, it means oversimplifying. Having my own individual Judaism and interpretation of Jewish law. For Howard, it means to be able to maintain Jewish traditions and being a part of a larger close-knit community. For Diane, it means core beliefs in Jewish religion, teachings, and commitment to Jewish continuity. And Julie says reform has a cultural and spiritual implications. I believe in the tradition, Shabbat, the importance of education and community, but also believe in inclusion and not the exclusion of others. Forgive my English here. For Ed, it means hearing an open-minded, I'm going for the chat. Some of it is related to this, some of it's not. To be flexible and inclusive and embracing Jewish community that has strong commitment to Jewish values and spiritual life, and sharing all forms of ideas and belief without retribution. I'm sorry for misdoing this from Judy. Lauren, you can help me.
That's right. Yeah, retribution. Yeah, that's right. That's what
So, and now there's many others, but there are already so many others that are just saying thank you. So, Esti, this was really a special opportunity to meet you, first of all, not as a representative of another community, but just you and your story and your unique kind of voice. And I really do want to, like, this is not a cliche, but I really do want to tell you, if the world have changed because of one person that maybe ate a bat, I think that each of us in our own voice can really make a difference in this world. So I want to encourage you to say that us here in our community in Central Synagogue in the Upper East Side in New York are supporting you and your actions and what you do and bring to this world. So thank you for all of this and what this was today. And we hope you keep your inspiring work in this world. And may we have many others just like you, opening the doors for others and fighting not for only their own rights, but for others. So, toda rabba rabba, and may we all have a great day today. And Shabbat Shalom, almost.
Almost, yes. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Esti. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you. And thank you for this
Thank you very
program.
much. This has
Thank you
been
very much.
outstanding.
Oh, well, we hope to see you at the next one next week. Special guest. We'll announce it the day of. It's a secret guest.
Aha.
Thank you.
Lauren,
Thank
can
you
you
very
post that
much.
one again? So we can sign up?
Yes, I will. It'll come in the weekly and I'll send it around. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Kim. Oh, she left. That was great.
She's remarkable.
Wait, hold on. Pausing recording.